time to introduce our special guest today, and that is Scott Clark. If y'all were here last month with us, I like how Don pointed out, they switched sides. It's the same panel. So last month we talked about the word for the year, what the Lord was speaking to us about, to focus on for the upcoming year. And it was a great conversation. So please go back and look at it on YouTube if you get a minute. But this time we invited Scott to come back to really talk about health, physical health, and kind of your spiritual health also, and just some tips and information that can kind of guide your journey in both ways. So Scott Clark is with Hyperlete Fitness. He's a personal trainer. He's also a champion bodybuilder. So we're so blessed to have him with us today. So Scott, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, because we've talked many times about physical fitness. Scott has been my personal trainer also, which has been such a blessing to have him as my trainer, but also then to gain him as a friend. And so as we've talked over time, we've talked about the discipline that's required to create new habits. And it's not only enforcing the physical habits, but it's retraining your mind to even believe in the transformation that you're desiring to see. And so would you share some of the principles that you found valuable for your personal physical growth and spiritual growth?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Beth, and thanks again for having me, everyone. Blessed to be here. I think when this question was posed, I drew inspiration from, I think, the most recent statistic I saw regarding fitness into the month of February. Right now, anywhere between 50 and 60% of January resolutioners have since quit on their endeavor to become a healthier version of themselves. And thinking about why this happens in the first place, I think there's a lot of reasons that could point to why someone would quit this early on, whether it just be lack of motivation or lack of understanding, not really having the know-how to get themselves to that next level in terms of physical fitness and how that's concerned. Maybe lack of social support, not having the accountability to keep them plugged into it as well. And I think a big one too is just unrealistic expectations, not realizing the weight of the decisions that they're going to have to make and how long it's actually going to take to get to that point. So when talking to these people that maybe have started already on their journey and have experienced this kind of discouragement, I think is a good way to put it. These are great for anyone that's wanting to start off fresh or maybe started before and wasn't really sure, they didn't have a structured approach for how to do things. And also these correlate really well too into steps you can take to be better in your walk as well. So not just pursuing fitness in a physical sense, but also in a spiritual sense as well. So a couple of tips that I would give just in general. First one would be to start where you are. I think a lot of people end up wanting to wait until the right time. They're waiting for the right moment. They're waiting for their schedule to free up. They're waiting until they get in shape to join a fitness class or work with a trainer. When I was younger, we had a monthly house cleaner come, and my mom encouraged us to clean the house before the house cleaner would get there. Hey, mom, if you're watching. And in that sense, if we're waiting for the right time, or we're waiting for the right program to fall into your lap, that's going to get you in shape, but also allow you to eat those desserts every night, we're going to end up waiting the whole time. You're not actually going to ever make that action step forward. So the encouragement with this one is to start where you are today, because progress comes with consistency. And in regards to the faith connection, I feel like this is so important because God meets us where we are. A lot of people are waiting to have the right answers in order to take that step of faith. And the biggest encouragement is don't have to know everything in order to just believe. The old saying of how do you get out of the woods, just one step at a time. You don't have to see your way out, but you're not going to get out just by standing still in that respect. Cool thing about seeking him first through prayer, reading one verse a day, attending church, these are all little things that can be done today. You don't have to wait till the right time. You don't have to wait till the next big trend comes. And the best part about it is there's no required skills to do this, right? And just show up. Second one is consistency versus perfection. I think that's the next big recommendation that I want to kind of harp on is people are always looking for the best workout program, the best nutrition program. I think that's the biggest question I get all the time is what's going to allow me to lose the most amount of shape or lose the most amount of weight, get in the best shape possible. And the truth is it's different for every single person. There's not one specific program that's going to work best for everyone, just because everyone's different. Everyone is challenged in a different way. Everyone is able to succeed in a different way. So to answer that question, the best program is the one that you are able to do and can do consistently. Because again, consistency is the biggest thing with that. Results come from showing up regularly. So just being conscious about always taking that step forward. And then with faith too, it's kind of the same thing. When we stumble, because it's inevitable. Perfection is unattainable in both of these categories. But the encouragement that my pastor always makes is when you stumble, to stumble forward, right? To not let the momentum stall. And it's the same thing with workouts, is if you miss a workout, it doesn't mean you have to quit, right? It just means you have to get back to it the next day. So growing in your faith is really just all about showing up daily, I believe, and doing those little things on a daily basis that you're able to do consistently. It doesn't have to be the perfect sanctuary for you to worship. It doesn't have to be candles and dim lights for you to praise God. It can be in your car, sitting at a stoplight, which we all are there on a daily basis. So finding those moments that are frequent enough for you to be able to commit to something, and then just fitting in the little things, reading scripture, praying, trusting God, especially when we're feeling unworthy, especially when we're feeling far from Him. Third one is fueling yourself correctly. I always say you can't outrun a bad diet, right? I think a lot of people put an emphasis on the workout programs, and the truth is, for anyone that has taken part in a workout program, those actually become the fun part of this process. You get to consistently watch your body change and discover new potential on a daily basis. But if I had to put weight in one side or the other, because it's not just workouts, it's also the nutrition side of things too, I would say somewhere between 80 to 90% of the result is based upon your ability to adhere to an appropriate nutrition approach, leaving the other 10 to 20% in the workout side of things. And so for people that have given it their best effort in the gym, but get home and undo all of those things that they just worked so hard to do, they're not going to be able to experience the benefit of having those two intertwine, right? The benefit of feeding your body what it needs to be fed in order to perform better, to have enough energy. It's just one of those things where the right nutrition to grow and function well is out there, but most people just don't even know where to start. And getting connected with someone that can actually educate you on how to eat specifically for your body type, for your performance needs, for what you're trying to do on a daily basis is so important, because there's so much information out there. How do you know what's right for you? And if there's never been a case study on Mary Beth, there's never been a case study on Scott or Dawn, we're not going to know unless we try different things. So having that courage, I think, really to just try and give it your best effort, even without really knowing the outcome. And obviously with the faith connection, your spirit is the same. What we consume matters. What we listen to, what we hear on a daily basis, who we surround ourselves with, all of this stuff has an influence on our walk with Christ. Negativity, sin, just being present and around it, not necessarily partaking in it yourself, but all these things can create disruption between you and your relationship with God. So making sure that we are filling our mind with God's word, spending time in worship, prayer on a daily basis, just to make sure that we are feeding our spirit with the things that are going to allow it to grow to be healthy and strong. Next one is really based upon accountability and just getting plugged in. I think that's a big aspect that is missed with this process. It's really, really important to just surround yourself in the fitness endeavor with people who are going to support you along the way and keep you accountable. So whether that be friends, coworkers, if you're doing a challenge at work, just being involved with those other people, family members, of course, and then at the end of the day, any hired professional that can come alongside you and challenge you in those tough moments. We will all get to that point of breaking, I think, along the way, and that's just inevitable. We're going to face obstacles. We're going to face challenges that will get us outside of our comfort zone and kind of scare us away because we've never dealt with that stuff before. And having that support system to really back you up in those moments, I think is so necessary and can honestly be the difference between you continuing on in that journey or it derailing you completely in the process. So I just believe that we're far more likely to achieve our goals when we're surrounded by individuals, like-minded individuals that aren't just going to challenge you when you need to be challenged, but that are going to celebrate the wins with you as well. Because that's a big part of this process. Is success is wonderful, when these endeavors work, but success without people to share it with is very fruitless as far as I've experienced. And then with the faith connection, obviously a strong faith community does the same in terms of challenging you in those moments and encouraging you along the way, whether it be at church or a Bible study or mentors getting plugged in at church. Even in the Bible, it talks about where two or more are present, right? It's not just saying when you're by yourself and just pointing at the importance of being surrounded by like-minded people for the sake of accountability and encouragement when we need it the most. And then the last one, because I'll keep it short because I could go on forever, but remembering your why. This journey can take so many different twists and turns along the way, especially as you grow and mature and discover your own potential, which hopefully is happening for those that are sticking to their fitness journey. You're realizing that you're far more capable of this process than you ever thought you were. Maybe you're doing pull-ups for the first time and you're in your 60s and you've never done pull-ups before, or maybe you're running the fastest mile that you've ever had. By that point, if the initial goal was to do a pull-up, hopefully there's more to it. Hopefully we're not just training to look good. And not that that's a bad thing in the industry that I'm in. That is the main goal, is to look a certain way, but hopefully there are other things that you're chasing as well. I think just as far as feeling strong and feeling healthy and creating an opportunity for us to live with independence as long as possible. If you've ever had that independence taken away from you, if you've hurt your back or not been able to train a certain way or been sick so much that you couldn't move to get out of bed, I don't think we really are as grateful as we could be for those moments until they're taken away. And so being proactive about it is the biggest part, not just waiting until it's gone to do something, but remembering why we do it in the first place is to be able to be equipped for those moments, taking care of this body that we've been so blessed with. We only get one. So it has to have some sort of weight to it. There has to be some sense of accountability and there has to be some sense of desire in order to get us through this process. So, I encourage my clients all the time, progress is rarely ever linear. You're not going to lose the same amount of weight on a daily basis. You're not going to always experience success the way you want to. And when you're faced with those challenges, when you're faced with those hard moments in this journey, remembering why you took part in it in the first place, right? Remembering why you decided to do this. And I think as far as the faith connection is concerned, it is so easy to get in the habit of doing all the right things that at the end of the day, we're just checking those boxes and not really remembering why we do this in the first place, is to have a relationship with Jesus and to live for him and be able to reach out and touch other people's lives in the sake of glorifying his kingdom and bringing as many people with us when that time comes, and so for all of this, just remembering that it's more about the journey than it is the destination. And I think a lot of times we as humans can be so focused on what we're trying to do and what the whole, go to church, read your Bible, pray, but remember the meaning behind it too, because that's really where Jesus is found in all of those actions. It's the meaning behind it.
That's so good. There's so much to unpack there.
Oh my gosh, I know. I could go on, but I'll keep it there.
And we could let you,
Yeah.
because I love what you were saying about the accountability, because when I started, I was just going to the gym. And then I ended up joining the classes because of the accountability. Just having the training was so important. I wanted that extra step, but just the accountability of knowing that I had said I would be there at 6:30 in the morning. So get out of bed and get there.
6:30.
And
guys.
yeah.
At a gym at 6:30 for that session to start. I don't think people give that enough credit, honestly.
It's good. I mean, if I get it up and get up and get going, I can get there, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. something might come up.
Yeah.
But the accountability, and I think that's so important even in our faith walk, whether you're in a regular church, church building, or if you're home churching or whatever it looks like, just having the accountability with others, that fellowship with others, because, all through the scriptures, we're supposed to be in fellowship with one another. And I think there's that accountability that comes with that when people know your life. And just like with a coach, they're going to know what you're doing and not doing, and they can call you out on your garbage. And sometimes we need it.
And hopefully they do it. Hopefully they're
Yeah.
brave enough, because it's not calling someone out in those moments of weakness and encouraging them to push past any
Yes.
point of discomfort that usually would prevent them from going on.
Yes.
It's a scary thing. And you don't want to ruin the relationship that you're in, but in that moment, we're trusting the process. And I think a good coach is able to look past what we normally see in the mirror, right? We look in the mirror and we're so quick to see what we're not good at. We're so quick to see what we don't have or what we wish we were able to do. A good coach looks through all that and sees the possibility, sees the capability, because maybe they've been through that and they've seen and experienced the other side. And that's what we're trying to do with that process, is just give you a little bit more hope that you can do it, that you are capable. Maybe not right away. We use the word yet, right? We can't do it. Okay, yet. Because can't is a choice. But if we keep pushing, the limits really, are endless.
That's so good. And I think part of that too is like you touched on, is just embracing the journey of transformation. It's a journey. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and be at the peak performance level. None of us are. I watched you and what y'all went through to get to where you and Haley got to in bodybuilding competitions. And it was a long process, but I think part of what you have to do is you just embrace this journey that is set before you, because there's an end goal. And the funny thing is, once we get going, that goal just kind of keeps getting pushed out. We want to accomplish more and do something different. And that's all a good thing. But having the support is huge. So, John, I'm going to jump over to you. Are there any questions in the chat? Or if anybody has any questions, they're welcome to put them in the chat. Or if you have any questions that you want to ask.
Sure. No, I haven't seen any questions come across in the chat, but I love how you mentioned the consistency factor for all of it. And that's true with our spiritual disciplines of Bible study, exercise, and really of everything that we do in life. The more consistent we are, then the more we improve. Are there 2 or 3 things that you would say are the biggest challenges to that consistency? Things that knock us off?
Just 2 or 3?
Well, I know there's a lot, but just 2 or 3.
And that's a great question, John, because I think for everyone it's different, and that's a conversation that usually comes up as you face them. I know for me personally, throughout my journey in both trying to be more spiritually fit and physically fit, this world is full of distractions, I think, are the easiest way to put it out there. Things that are more appealing in the moments of difficulty, when the route that you've chosen starts to become riddled with obstacles. And it gets harder, it gets more challenging. A lot of people think that the longer you do this, the easier it gets. I wish that were true. Luckily, the longer you do this, the stronger you get and the more equipped you get. But as obstacles start to present themselves, friends that aren't participating in those same kind of things, friends that aren't prioritizing their health and fitness are going to be on the sidelines, trying to convince you to come over and do what they do, and I think it's the same for our faith journey. The world is very attractive at times. There's a lot of things that are more appealing than going home to pray, and instead of going out on a Friday night with your friends to go to a bar, you're going to a small group to study the Bible. Sometimes the first option, the worldly option, is more appealing. And so just really having that discipline and that self-control to be able to maintain the course when it does get tough, because that's inevitable. It's going to be challenging along the way. And luckily, self-control is one of the fruits of the Spirit. So the more time you spend praying about it, I believe the more God will bless you with it. that kind of coincides with time. Time is always an obstacle. It's the one resource that we can't pay to have more of, especially for people with families, people with job obligations. There will always be something that is trying to take more of your time than maybe it should, and so really being able to prioritize what is important along the way and making sure that we're giving energy to the things that are going to help us in our journey and not wasting energy or not really, I don't want to say, spending too much time with distractions, but I know for me personally, there's so many things that I waste time on that pull time away from the other things. So prioritizing is the biggest thing. If you want to make fitness a consistent thing, do it first. Get it done out of the way. I think that's what Mary Beth did really, really well. She was there at least 4 out of the 5 days that we did those sessions at 6:30 in the morning, because she knew that if she wasn't there at 6:30 getting it done, it just wasn't going to happen the rest of the day. And if you're weighing that option in your head, maybe I'll do it later. Don't count on the maybe. No one ever got in shape on accident. I mean, the reality of this is it has to be intentional. You have to prioritize those things that are going to get you to your goal if you ever want a shot at actually reaching them. So, yes. Yeah.
Good, good. And I think Wayne has a question.
Yes, I have a question
Hey, Wayne.
and a comment. Am I still reverb here? One thing I want to share is we had a reaction. I'm in a room here at In Touch Ministries, and to both of y'all's comments, Scott, and to Mary Beth, when she said the time she gets up, we had some verbal uneasiness here. So congratulations to Mary Beth for that
Yeah.
early start.
Yeah.
And secondly, what you said, start where you are, consistency versus perfectionism, fuel yourself correctly, get plugged in, and remember your why. All those were really great. You went over them so thoroughly. So I have a question, and we talked a little. Thank you, Charlene. I appreciate that. So what ways have you seen, Scott, in your experience, where the physical health challenges or the mental health linked to any spiritual situations? Have you either observed that in your maybe clients' lives or in your own life, or vice versa, where there's a kind of an overlap between the two of those? That's kind of a deep question. So
Yeah. I think in an effort to just keep it short-winded, I think what the Bible teaches us is how short-lived this life actually is and how precious the time is that we get. And I don't think we really, and unless, God forbid, you have a near-death experience and you're able to walk away with a different understanding or comprehension of how valuable this life actually is. When I was in the fitness industry or competing in the fitness industry and getting very, very close to that competition shape where you're under 5% body fat, it makes you, I mean, you're unfortunately, I feel like the person that wins that competition is the one that's closest to being the most unhealthy. There's a fine line between being healthy and then doing things to manipulate your shape to look that certain way. But in those moments, you train so hard. And for Haley and I, we worked out, we had an 18-month goal. The entire process up to show day took us 18 months. And then the following time frame was another 2 to 3 months after that to be able to, they call it reverse diet, where you bring yourself back out of that deficit. And I got to experience just how fleeting the physical shape was, the benefit, the end product that we trained 18 months for, we got to enjoy for 1 or 2 days.
Wow.
Before we made the decision to bring it back out. And so you spend all this time and all this effort focused on, I need to get to this shape. I need to get to the shape. And as soon as you get there, you realize it's not sustainable. You can't. I mean, some people do, and I give them all the credit. It takes a lot of self-control to be able to do that. But I think in that moment, just realizing how precious your physical state actually is. I mean, it can come and go in an instant, and I feel like we work so hard for it all the time to just enjoy these little moments. And with my spiritual walk, it's not riddled with being on fire all the time. and it's more just moving through my day to day and trying to figure out the ways of this world. But there's little moments, the little moments that really keep you coming back. And even if they're short-lived and they're small, they just kind of remind you that there's something greater that we're living for. And so even though the bodybuilding experience, it was such a long journey for only a short little joyful moment, we're going to do it all over again, because it was worth the work. It was worth the time. It was worth the effort that we put into it, even though it was short-lived. And I wholeheartedly believe that's the same thing with our faith. I think all the times we say no, all the things that we choose to forego on this side of heaven, the moment we get there, the moment we're living in the glory that is being with him every day, it'll all be worth it.
That's so good. That's so good. I worked with a lady, and I remember we were talking about marriage one time, and I think somebody had just gotten married. They were still, kind of in the honeymoon phase. And she spoke up. She goes, that was fun when it was in the honeymoon phase. She said, but my marriage is like an old shoe now. She said, it's just comfortable and it's broken in. And I remember her saying that, and I thought, that's an interesting place to be. And of course, now it's like, that's a wonderful place to be. And especially even with your walk with the Lord, with your physical health, it's like coming to that place where it's comfortable. You're not just striving for more and more and more all the time, but for the majority of us, where we're just comfortable where we are. And like you said, being comfortable knowing that what you're going to do for 18 months to prepare your body, being comfortable knowing that you're going to go to the gym 3 times a week or 4 times a week, or you're going to make priority a quiet time a priority. Getting comfortable in those places, I think, allows for even more growth in so many ways. So segue to next month, Scott and I are actually going to be talking again. And this time we're going to be talking about mindset and the mindset that is required for us to make these transformations, to come out of the things that are holding us back from having the things that we actually desire, whether it's in relationship, whether it's physical health, whether it's mental health. And so I'm looking really forward to having that conversation with you, because we've had some good ones in the past. And so I hope y'all will join us again next month. And we're also going to be doing a 2-minute, a promo next month, kind of a lunch and learn about time blocking. So I do hope y'all will mark your calendars for March 5th, when we do discuss time blocking and also the mindset that's required to make transformation in your life, and helping you kind of maybe achieve some goals that you've got set before you.